In today's Razorback Daily, Pat Bradley is on the show to talk about the Razorbacks and the NCAA Tournament field. It's Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. I'm Quinn Grovey alongside my man, Matt Zimmerman, and you're listening to the Razorback Daily.
All right, here we are back on the Razorback Daily on this Tuesday, and we have a special guest with us, Quinn. We've had him on the Daily so many times. He always is we always appreciate him coming on to give his time. He's busy. Pat Bradley, one of the all-time greats, former Razorback Hall of Honor member, does so much for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Oh, wait 1 second. I wanted to show Quinn this. Do we have 10 seconds? Hang on.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
All right, Quinn, I got something that you're
Okay.
going to like.
All right. I can't wait to see this.
You're going to like this. Hang on.
He sounds like he's like all the way on the other end of the house. Yeah. You can barely hear him.
All right.
Hang on.
Now, you guys know I always carry my basketball when we do this show. But you know what this is?
God, look at that old football.
Wow.
A game ball from my freshman year in high school.
Wow.
I saw my freshman basketball coach last year. We have it's called the E Club. And he saved this football since 1992.
Ooh.
No, 91.
Let's see the sides of that. Let's see what that thing, what's it say on that one side?
It's got a little Tom Brady deflate action.
Yeah.
But it was
Spalding. Does that say Frosh? That's the freshman team.
Freshman football. I love it. The old J5V.
used to be spinning that thing. Woo, spinning.
I love it.
Ear to zipper. Let's start at the top of that. Ear to zipper.
I love it. I love it.
What did you play quarterback in freshman?
Oh, coach, of course I did. We ran the option. Pull it back. I said, Billy Stewart, go deep, Billy. And we would just throw that thing.
When did you quit high school football?
So my sophomore year, our head basketball coach took over as head football coach my sophomore year. So all summer I'm running football drills with him. We're practicing. And then that sophomore fall for me, it became AAU basketball just consumed it. So on the weekends, I'm playing hoops Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we had our games. We didn't have lights in our stadium at that time, so we played all Saturday afternoon high school football games.
Yeah.
It just became one or the other. What am I going to drop? Yeah. But we were 8-1 my freshman year. I played quarterback and safety. We were playing Peabody. It was a 0-0 game. They ran every play. It was pitch right, sweep right, sweep left, right? So I'm a safety. I'm getting bored. I'm like, watch this. I'm going to try to time it from a safety position, pick off the pitch, midair, in the backfield, touchdown. So I'm creeping up. I'm creeping, every play creeping. Of course, their coach notices me creeping.
Oh, yeah.
They do one of these. They go, fake sweep.
Bomb over your head.
Big old tight end starts running like this. And I look at him like, where's he going? Hey, they put it right over the top of me, the big old tight end just chugging down. They beat us 6-0.
Oh.
All my fault. We could have been undefeated that season.
And you're a Boston guy. You don't even follow Bill Belichick's rules. Just do your job, man.
Do your job.
I
I was getting too anxious. I wanted to make a play. Because we had the two best linebackers.
Oh, you made a play all right. You made a
Yes.
play all right.
I made a play. The wrong play. Big old Sandro Colarusso, the colossal one in the middle, and Tang Lam. Those are the two great linebackers. I never got any action. They made every tackle. So,
Pat, saw you all week in Nashville. You guys do a great job. How fun was that for you? I love it after the games. Of course, when you're at the game, you don't get to see the studio show as much unless you're back in the media room or something. But getting the head coach out there and getting a player or two from the other team, that was pretty exciting. Talk about you working the SEC tournament again.
Yeah, we had Coach Cal on because he was the first
First win.
game. And actually, we interviewed Coach Beard actually halftime of the first game, but we had Coach Cal on set with us. And, he actually said he gave the TV crew some credit. I said, Coach Cal, because he was going through how the league is, so the coaches are great, the players are great, this is great, that's great. He goes, even the TV's great. I go, I know you watch it, Coach Cal. But it's really fun because the coaches have become more and more comfortable with us.
Yeah.
And they joke around. And so Coach Nate Oates comes on the set, and Darinoka asks him about the matchup against Florida. Coach, how you going to take down big Florida tomorrow in the next round? He calls me out. He goes, well, that's Pat. He picked Florida to win. So there are times where you got to pick one of them. He called me out. He strong-armed me. I switched.
But you were right.
I picked
you
Bama.
were right.
Yeah, but in front of him, I picked Bama, just so he wouldn't be mad at me. But then they ended up strong-arming Bama, Florida. So it's fun to see the coaches and the players really just let loose a little bit, and you can tell, like, the postseason, I think there's a sense of relief with each coach because, the season is a grind and the postseason is sort of like a rebirth. And I think mentally, emotionally, coaches and players have that reset. And so they're relieved. The grind of the regular season's over. And it's sort of now everybody's 0-0. So I think that's why they're a little bit strange. Like, strange enough, I find them a little bit happier when it gets to postseason play.
Hey, speaking of that, Pat, I mean, you're right about that. Coaches are letting loose, and you got to be happy you wasn't part of that Bruce Pearl interview. Don't answer that. Don't answer that one. But when you talk about the network, man, what does it look like for you guys as you move through the tournament? I mean, will y'all be going on site?
Yeah, we just, because the games are, the CBS networks, we will, we'll do an SEC Now show. So like Thursday night, we'll go on air at 12:30 or midnight. And so what we have to do is wait. We can't use any of CBS's highlights. We can only use like 30 minutes a game. 30 seconds per game of highlights. It's they keep it tight what they let us use, but we have to wait until the end of the game's nights to show CBS's highlights, because they don't want us to show their highlights while they're still on air.
Smarts. Really, I did not ever know that.
Yeah, so once we're off air, that's when we can show on SEC Network. And it's only like literally 20 seconds of game highlights that they allow us. But sometimes, like, I think our last SEC game is 7:30 p.m. start on Thursday. So we may be able to record things at 10 p.m. Sometimes like Friday night, I think the last game is probably 10, so we're not going to get out of there until 1 a.m. maybe. But that's what we do, Quinn. We're just, those somebody in first, second round, Elite 8, Sweet 16, and all that. Maybe send somebody if they go to the Final Four.
Well, Pat, we've played these guys, Kansas, and they got a great coach. Their team is not as good this year as they've been. We saw them all the way back on October the 25th, sold out Bud Walton Arena. Hogs won 85-69. Exhibition game, no Hunter Dickinson. DeJuan Harris was outstanding. He was the only one, in my opinion, that played good. Zeke Mayo was bad. KJ Adams didn't. He struggled. They had to play some guys they didn't really want to play too much. Now, the good player from Alabama did not play also, Ryland Griffin.
Yeah.
He did not play against us. I like him. He can shoot three. But in this game,
good size,
Yeah, Boogie killed him. 22 points. He had 5 assists. He had 6 steals, most of them against Harris. Adu, people were worried about us not having Adu. Adu didn't have a good game in this. Adu had 2 points in that exhibition. Carter had 9. DJ had 24 points. He was plus 21 against Kansas. Big Zavonimir had 18 points, Pat. He was plus 13 against Kansas. Trevin had a pretty decent game. Nelly had 5. He was a little coming off that wrist. Billy Richmond did not score. He's a whole different player. But we had 51 points from DJ Boogie Nelly. We had 64 points from DJ Boogie and Big Z. So we rolled them out, and the Hogs outscored them every single. Back then we did 4 quarters. It was an exhibition game. The coaches won periods. We beat them 25-17. We beat them 20-16. The third period we beat them 20-17. Last period we beat them 20-19, and we beat them by 16 points. Can you take anything from that, or is that just too far gone? What's your thoughts on that, Pat?
I think in general, well, Kansas, if you follow basketball nationally, obviously they're extremely disappointed in their season. I mean, where they expected to be, and Coach Self, obviously they played for national championships every year. So bringing back not only Dickinson, who was the time, if you remember, was a National Player of the Year talk at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So that's how good he is. And they brought in the kid from Wisconsin, AJ Storr. Everyone had big plans for him. And they've sort of been extremely inconsistent. And I just look at the Hogs, how, I don't know if there's a team in the country that has been not a fault of their own, but because of injuries and putting people together, it's just been, nobody knows where to put the Hogs, right? So with Thero, who is, before his injury, hopefully he'll look the same. I mean, he was the most improved player in the country. I mean, the way that guy was playing.
Yeah.
And I thought he should have been an all-SEC, at least the third team in front of Jason Edwards from Vanderbilt. I'll take him over Chad Baker-Mazara from Auburn.
For sure.
The numbers. I think Mark Mitchell from Missouri. Mark Mitchell is arguably their most talented player on a 7 seed team in the NCAA tournament. So, or 8, whatever they are.
7, I think. Yeah.
So, you could see that. But Adu Thero is the most productive player on a 10-win team, right? We win 10 games. How many we win? 8 games?
We went 8-10 in the league. We went 8-10.
So Vandy goes 8-10. We go 8-10. Thero has better numbers than any of those other teams similar.
Yeah.
He should have got in on the team. So, but going back to that, I just think people don't know where to put the Hogs because they don't understand the daily issues, whether it was bringing guys together, guys figuring out where their role is, injuries, all that. And every team goes through that.
Right.
Now with Thero hopefully back, I'm guessing, right? I mean, I'd imagine he's coming back, right?
I don't know if he's, there's still not a lot of word. Boogie's back for sure.
Boogie's
That's
back.
Big. But Adu is still he's still out right now with this knee. And so we're hoping to get him back, but it's not sounding like he will play on Thursday. He's still considered questionable. Maybe we'll get some good news Wednesday, or maybe later today. Yeah. Maybe we'll get some good news today. But right now, he's not slated to play on Thursday.
Well, I'll go, even if he's not playing, I will say one thing the Hogs have going for them. You've got 21 feet of human beings that you can throw up against big 7-foot Hunter Dickinson, right?
Yeah.
Now he's a strong kid, and we're a little bit of thin in the britches, but that's why I think Adu Thero at 6'8", what's he go 230?
About 240. Yeah, he's strong.
240.
About 240 now. Yeah.
So that's a big miss because that kid, they got a big load in KJ Adams. Kansas is KJ Adams. I mean, he looks like a power lifter, that guy.
Yeah.
But not extremely skilled guy.
No.
I just feel like we you talk about DeJuan Harris, their point guard, 6'2". He's been there forever. I mean, I think he played with Danny Manning in the Miracles back in the day.
Yeah.
Right? Seems like it. But I think John L's playing better.
Yeah.
More consistent. I think our guards can harass him. I like our team because we watch them every week get better, every game get better. Nationally, people only tune in when, maybe they're playing at Lexington or they're playing some of these other high-profile games. So I like the fact no one's talking about the Hogs.
At Arvest Bank, we've got loans and we've got lines of credit for almost anything. Need to improve your home, consolidate debt, or maybe purchase a new or used vehicle? Then apply online today at arvest.com/loans. Arvest.com/loans. All the folks at Arvest are excited about this NCAA basketball tournament. Equal housing lender. All loans are subject to credit approval.
APB, when we played Kansas in that exhibition game, our guards absolutely ate them alive. I mean, from Boogie and DJ and Nelly. And Bill Self basically said, hey, you're not going to find a better group of guards. Now, I don't think things panned out the way or they executed or did as much as what everybody expected. But again, I mean, DJ finally got a chance to take over. Boogie was a ball dominant guy. And Nelly just really hadn't been tournament Nelly as we've seen him be for FAU or what have you. But now you get Boogie back. And I think one of the biggest things is, like you said, is a lot of the roles have been defined. And I think that's helped this basketball team kind of move forward. But for anybody to think that you're a shorthanded team to begin with, and for anybody to think that you're a better team without Boogie, I think you gotta check your basketball IQ on that thing. But how do you work him back in? I mean, because I think Billy Richmond did a nice job of playing some of the point, but he would have some turnovers and he'd give you a lot of energy. But anytime you can insert another guy like Boogie Flan back into your team, it's got to help you.
Yeah, well, it wasn't Boogie's fault that there's about 3 guys that were they might as well have been ghosts out there at the beginning of the SEC season. I mean, they were MIA. We was going to have to put out one of those all-point bulletins for a couple of those guys we brought in from last year.
Yeah.
It's like we recruited you. You came. There were SEC coaches who call out their own players in press conferences now. We paid you to do something here now. Come on now.
Yeah.
So, but I think people forget DJ Wagner's 6'4", and he is a fantastic athlete. You just aren't going to go by him or shoot over him. Boogie Flan, the advantage of having Boogie Flan is he can play 1, 2, or 3. I mean, they got him listed at 6'2", but he can play off guard if DJ was running the point.
Yeah.
Boogie's a 37% 3-point shooter. I mean, that's about as you look around the country. I mean, that's almost that 40% elite. So you slide him into shooting guard. You slide him into point guard. Wherever you want him, that's another almost 40% 3-point shooter on the floor. Also, that's another guy that can make good decisions with the basketball, makes the right pass. He led us in assists. So him is huge to come in the game, in my opinion. And then you mentioned Billy Richmond. I think Billy Richmond and Carter Knox are just up there with as improved as anybody in our league from day one to where they are now. I mean, those guys they're balling both ends of the floor. And they should. I mean, they're talented, right? It was just a matter of time before they were gonna realize, how to compete and win in college basketball, and they've done it.
Hey, Pat, with that, just to follow up on that, I mean, when you talk about, and I agree with everything you said, and when you talk about Boogie, coming back, it'd be easy for him to just say, you know what, hey man, I missed all this time. I'm just gonna go ahead and wait for the NBA. I don't know how coach is gonna use me. I don't know what it's gonna look like. But to me, in this day and age, for him to want to get back and play with his team, regardless of how that may look or how it may project, or the last thoughts the NBA drafts will have or scouts will have, I mean, that says a lot about the young fella.
I was surprised. I was with you. I felt like it was, he just missing that many games. I can't imagine your mentality. You can't help but to just switch into what's next mode.
Yeah.
And, it was his hand. So he still ride the bike. He could still do all kinds of things, still work out with his left hand. And, that's probably was the initial thing was, conditioning and mental wise, is he ready to go? And seems to be ready to go. So, yeah, I was surprised too, really, because, if you're him, you're like, okay, I may have one game. What if it's a bad game?
Yeah.
That's the bad taste you leave in everyone's mouth. However, I've been watching the draft boards, and when he was playing, he was top 15, I would see.
Yeah.
Then I don't know if you guys noticed, once he got hurt, he's depending on how you think of these mock drafts, 4 or 5, he slipped out. You know,
Yeah.
so maybe he's looking at it like, you know, when I was playing, I was top of mind, showing them what I could do, and he'll slide back in because all he's got to have is 2 good games to show that quickness and scoring ability and passing ability again, and he's right back in it.
Yeah. I just think it's so impressive, the 103 assists and 28 turnovers. And sometimes the ball got stuck a little bit, and there were some things that you wanted different, but he was such a high-level player and shot 40%. That's pretty good for a true freshman playing against these guys. And he shot 37% from the three. That's pretty good. But, Pat, you got a true point guard that can facilitate like that, and he's got 103 assists in only 18 games. You got a guy that can make a difference for your offense, helping your other guys get good shots. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, and they need that, right? I mean, he was a unique guy in a sense where I think he averaging 15 a game, 14, 13. So you got to respect him scoring, but he's smart enough he could beat you passing. And I cannot wait when it's DJ, Boogie, and John L. Davis. I mean, that's a nice little backcourt right there.
Oh, man.
You got 6'4", 6'4", 6'2".
Yeah.
You got toughness, speed. You got, you know, John L's, what's he, 5th-year guy?
He's a fifth-year guy. It's his 5th year.
5th year.
Boogie is first.
As a sophomore, DJ's played as many minutes as some 4-year guys. I mean, he played you know, every year, every minute last year. So that gets me excited. And I mean, I don't know what you guys put in Jonas Adu's water bottle in the last 2 weeks, but give him an IV, whatever it is, put it in the IV for him. Because he woke up when he needed to wake up, and they needed it. They're not going to go anywhere if they don't have Trevin playing like that. Jonas and Zeke we know what Zeke can do. I mean, he's sort of been there all year, but those other 2 guys you got to have. I mean, that to me is a game changer. Like, there's not many teams that have active 7'2", 6'11", 6'10".
Yeah, that's right.
Like that's why it's like, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, they meet St. John's in the 2nd round. The Johnnies are good defensively. We know all about that. They've got some dogs. We know about those. You know, whether it's Richmond or the kid, I say his name, he's a boy. He's an animal on the glass. But you got 3 7-footers that are good. Like Trevin can shoot the 3. Jonas has got some moves. Obviously, we know Zeke can shoot it. But that's, I mean, it's going to be a fun matchup with Kansas and Coach Self. I think the committee wanted that one to be a primetime matchup, and they got it, right? 7 Eastern time in Providence. I won't be able to be there. Providence is an excellent. Think about this. You got Arkansas, Kansas, St. John's, Texas Tech in Providence. They're a heck of a team now. I had one guy pick them to go to the Final Four with Grant McCaslin, Coach McCaslin, who was at Arkansas State.
Yeah,
he was at Arkansas State.
Yeah.
So Providence is going to be a fun little weekend. 29 years ago, 1996, we took down Penn State. It was funny.
In Providence.
In Providence. I was talking to Coach Frank Haith. He was an assistant coach in that Penn State team back in 96.
Is that right? I didn't realize that.
He goes, and he came out. I was just talking to him, and he goes, oh, yeah. And he went through the whole thing. He goes, back in 1996, Penn State, because they had Lasecki, and they had the kid who's a NBA GM now, the big lefty, Booth, Calvin Booth, big 7-foot lefty kid. But yeah, Coach Frank Haith, what a memory on that guy. I mean, like a steel trap. Unbelievable. But yeah, he's with Texas now. He's an assistant coach.
He's a Rick Barnes. That's where his career really bloomed, when he was at Texas the first time under Rick Barnes.
Okay.
Of course, Rodney Terry was there as an assistant. They were assistants together. And then Frank went to Miami and Missouri and Tulsa. Now he's back there to where he was with Rick Barnes. Now he's working for Rodney Terry. By the way, I'm glad Texas got in. Not a Texas fan, but I didn't think they would get in. And when I saw North Carolina's name pop up there, I knew Texas wasn't getting in. That was just a surprise deal. And how about Oklahoma too? I was worried about them getting in when I saw North Carolina, Pat.
Yeah, Oklahoma has arguably the best non-conference Well, I guess
Yeah.
Auburn, Alabama challenged themselves in the non-conference pretty good, but outside of those two, Oklahoma is the best non-conference wins anywhere in the country outside of those.
Saved them.
Bama,
Yeah.
Auburn, yeah. I mean, you look at who they beat. Oklahoma beats Louisville. That Louisville's everybody's darling right now.
Yeah.
I think it's more of what they were last year and the year before than what they are this year. Although they're having a good season. So Oklahoma. I think they ended up one spot ahead of the Hogs. Oklahoma.
They did. They got a 9.
Yeah.
They got a 9 seed, Pat.
Which I'll be honest with you, I almost would rather a 10 sometimes because then you got to play the 1 seed, the second round, and every year, all 1 seeds aren't built the same. But I think Auburn, Florida, Duke with a healthy Cooper Flag, those are built different. Those 3 teams are built different. Now, I think 5 teams can win it. I'll throw in Houston just because we respect Coach Sampson so much, and Bama. Bama's still right there. I think Bama's still got a chance. They can win it. So, but we got 15 teams that go to the Final Four. I mean, it's just that side of it. Is just a bunch of them out there.
So you think about 5 teams most likely to win it: Houston, Alabama, Auburn, Duke, and who else? Florida,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just because watching those teams, like watching Florida, is just like it's next level. I mean, they've got 7'9" guy. Quit. They got a guy that's 7 feet 9 inches.
He don't get to play none, but he sure is big.
That shows you how good they are. He got a guy that's 7 feet 9, and he doesn't play. And Auburn's got depth, but they've got veteran guys. A little concerned they only scored 65 points in the what was that, the semifinal game?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
Coach Pearl said after the game that they obviously consistently run their offense through Janai Broom. However, he mentioned that they may try to open things up a little bit more offensively in the NCAA tournament, and that would make them even more dangerous because they got their point guard, Denver Jones. That kid can go. Miles Kelly, that kid can go. Like, those are their back. Todd Pettiford. I mean, they got guys that can put up 30 on you. So we'll see how he handles that. But, yeah, I just think Auburn, Florida, so dominant. And, watching Bama, they can put up 100 on anybody. And defensively, when they dial it in, there's, can beat anybody.
Yeah, from that side then, PB, I mean, you see, are you going to put those 3 teams in your Final Four in your bracket from the SEC teams?
Man, I'm trying to find a way to get 5 SEC teams in the Final Four. If I can do it, I'm going to do it. Tennessee, don't forget about Tennessee now. Chaz Lanier starts lighting it up. Coach Rick Barnes going back to San Antonio, Texas. Coach Rick Barnes. I'm picking them. They're my 4th Final Four team. Sorry, Coach Sampson.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that, Pat. We did this thing over in Tulsa on Monday morning. Scotty Thurman was awesome at it. Ted Owens was there. They had Lenardi on the screen. He joined us. But that was the one I thought. I said, man, Tennessee, they've got older guys. They got an experienced team. They play pretty good defense, and they don't take a lot of bad shots. And they're not going to beat themselves very often. They got a really good chance. I don't know if they can win the whole thing, but they really could get to the Final Four. I think they would be a hard beat for Houston. Pat, I think the 1 seeds, I'm going to read these off to you, Pat. I think the 1 seeds, all of them their first games are easy. Their second games, Pat, are crazy hard. So Auburn, overall number 1 seed, Louisville should have been a 5 or a 6 to me. They get an 8 versus Creighton, who's pretty good. And remember, Auburn's in Lexington. They're going to be playing Louisville in Lexington. Wow. Okay. That's a game Auburn could lose. The other number 1 down there, Florida. They're going to have to play the 2-time defending national champ, UConn or Oklahoma. Florida will be rooting for Oklahoma to win that game, Quinn. The other one, Duke. Yeah, Duke. They're going to have to play Mississippi State or Baylor. Baylor's very talented, and Mississippi State's capable of beating anybody. And then the other number one is the Cougars, Houston. They're going to have to play Gonzaga or Georgia.
Yeah.
They will probably be rooting for Georgia, who's the 9 seed. Pat, those are tough games for a 1 seed.
Yeah, it is. And we just mentioned, how you sometimes have dominant 1 seeds. Tennessee was thought of as a potential 1 seed throughout the season.
Yeah.
They were the number 1 team in the country when the Hogs played them. So
Sure
it just
were.
goes to show you now, if you're Houston, you're like, the former number 1 team in the country is a 2 seed in our bracket.
Yeah.
That's tough sledding if you're Houston. And Tennessee's obviously good enough to beat anybody. It's at this time, is there a team that can put it together for 3 weeks?
Yeah.
3. So that's a significant amount of time to keep your mind right. And hopefully healthy, especially with Duke, the kid from Duke. We'll see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, PB, with that, we talked about a lot of teams that are in the tournament. Is there anybody left out of the tournament that you think should have been in North Carolina's place?
Yeah, North Carolina, they got in. I guess everybody's tooting at West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, QG, I don't even. We could. The 3 of us could come up with 68 teams that, and then number 69 is never going to be happy anyway. 70, 71.
That's true.
I don't. That's it's just a shame that, you do have to. Teams, West Virginia deserves to be in. How, you know what I'm saying? It's just splitting hairs at that side of it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. Even if we go to 72 teams or whatever it is, it's always going to be the next ones that are going to have an issue with it. But no, to answer your question, I don't. Maybe outside of West Virginia, but then you start comparing like West Virginia, North Carolina, and you're looking at 2 suspect resumes anyway. Like they're ugly resumes. I don't even want to look at those teams' resumes. I'm like, looks like crap. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? It's like, I guess it's almost, you don't want to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be in like North Carolina. They're like 1-12 in the quad 1 games.
Yeah.
So essentially that's what, 1-12 against tournament teams almost.
Yep.
Like, do you even want to have that conversation, North Carolina?
No.
I don't even want that conversation.
I was telling Z though, PB, that Hubert Davis, the head coach of North Carolina, is going to walk into that AD's office and say, "I still want that NCAA check." We are
yes, exactly.
There ain't no play-in caveat. We're in.
No, yeah. That's that. I still consider it the tournament. The first.
It's definitely the tournament. Yeah. Yeah. Those 68, they're in. Pat, you don't have to comment on this, but Quinn, I was reading this article about Bubba Cunningham, the chairman of the selection committee. I don't want to put Pat on the spot, but he gets a bonus over $100,000 for his basketball team as the AD getting into the NCAA tournament.
Why? Let me ask you a question. Like, I was watching some guys talk today. Like, there is hard to find busier people than athletic directors.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're the committee.
Hunter Yurachek he's got baseball, basketball, men's and women's. He's got this, that, and this, and the other. You would assume at some point you have 12 people, 10 people, 8 people, 20 people who are former coaches, or maybe not even, just folks who don't have any other thing to do from October 1 to April 1 or April 5.
Yeah.
Than to do that. And they do. I'm not criticizing anybody. It's just, I feel for them. Think of Bubba Cunningham at UNC, his trying to split up his time with all that. And he relies on people. I guess that's the other side of it, is they probably are talking to so many other people to help them make their decisions too. So I guess essentially there's other people behind them helping them.
Yeah. It's really pretty interesting how it all shakes out. But Pat, before we let you go, have you seen St. John's much?
Just couple games. I watch a little bit here and there. I know they got a really good kid, the kid R.J. Lewis.
Yeah.
Can shoot it. But really, from what I saw, I was watching their game in the Big East tournament. Kid Kadari Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond.
He is a low. I mean, he just gets
Strong.
by you. Once he turns that corner, you are done. I mean, that's a great matchup. Hopefully, Thero comes back. And then they get that kid that gets on the offensive glass. He is just a big, strong guy. But yeah, I mean, they're a great defensive team. They play hard. They don't shoot it well. What are they? Are they under 30% as a team from shooting 3-point shot? I think
They are
29%.
looking
maybe.
at it. Yeah, they don't shoot it well. No, they don't shoot it well. Their field goal percentage is 45, which is good. Their free throw percentage is 68. That's not good at this level. And their 3-point percentage is 30.4%. But they're below it in the conference games. But 30.4 all their games combined, which is not very good 3-point shooting team. That's pretty low.
Yeah. Well, we know that's going to be a tough, grinded off physical game. And I can't stress enough having all hands on deck. You know, that's why Thero is, you know, like I said, I think he's been our most productive player all year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously with Boogie Flan's injury.
Yeah.
So, you know, getting those two guys back will be huge. Would be huge. For Thero, too, to go up against Rick Pitino St. John's team, he has a big game. Boom. He sneaks into the first round. I want him to stay, but, I mean, I think he could.
Yeah. And if we do beat Kansas, won't be easy, but we can do it. We've already beat them once this year. That you don't have to have, people were all wanting to know the game time on Sunday. And I would tell people, well, they always announce it Sunday night. I don't really know why people were worried about it because you knew it was going to be on prime time with Coach Cal, Bill Self. And you don't need to ask what time the game will be Saturday if we win, because it may not be Saturday's different. So it may not be at 7, but it might be, you know, after prime time, and on Saturdays an afternoon as well. So it could be an afternoon game, but we're going to be out east. It's going to be a huge, huge game if we do win and we get to play. And he's done pretty well against Rick Pitino. He's done well against Pitino, Kentucky, Louisville battles.
And you know, there's going to be a lot of St. John's T-shirts rolling into Providence, Rhode Island. So that's I don't know how many will be fighting maybe a road crowd, but you know they'll probably pack them in just because it's such a short drive. I mean, it's only about 3 hours maybe from the city, from Queens to Providence. Wish I was able to get up there on
I know.
Thursday.
You got a job to do. Hey, tell our fans before we go, because you grew up in the Boston area. What can they? I've been to Providence a bunch of times and I've been there recruiting, but we played there in the NCAA tournament. We've played there in the NIT. Just give them a little. What you think about Providence?
Providence good. They got it's a small downtown. You can go out to Federal Hill. Some would argue that Italian food is better than New York City and Boston combined in Providence.
Wow.
Federal Hill.
Hill. Now, Providence was a major mafia location because it was right there with Boston, New York City. So the Patriarca family was major, controlling a lot of stuff in between NYC and Beantown. So go on Federal Hill and be careful. Make sure if you do go eat down there in Federal Hill, one of the Italian restaurants, make sure you eat everything on your plate because they take it personal if you don't eat every piece of pasta. QG, come on, baby, let's go. I know you've been watching your figure, but if there's a time to let it go, let it go. So, but yeah, you'll get a lot of it's a great culture. Providence and you know, I mean, it's you're gonna get yourself a Dunkin' Donuts down there.
Oh yeah, it's where it came from. That's where it started, right?
Yeah, it's self-caffeinated. I think that may be the arena. Isn't like Dunkin' Donuts arena?
It is. When we played there in the NIT, it was Dunkin' Donuts Arena, I believe.
Yeah.
And you know what else, Pat? One of my favorite restaurants around the country is the Capitol Grill. The very first Capitol Grill, I think the original one was right down from the state capitol, Providence, Rhode Island. That was the original Capitol Grill right there.
Was it real? I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
Yep. That is Ken Sadowski. taught me that up in
Ken
Boston.
Sadowski, yeah.
Ken
You got it.
Sadowski.
You guys get a busy weekend up there. It's no question. Now you can fly into Boston. It's a 45-minute drive to Providence. You can fly, obviously, right into Providence. So you got options if you want to, if somebody, Hogs win and they want to get out there on Friday, you got plenty of options where you can go. And then you stick around. You go to Newport, Rhode Island, see some of the mansions out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice little state, man. Rhode Island's a nice little state. We go sometimes down to Narragansett, Rhode Island. Narragansett, right on the ocean. They call it the Ocean State, Rhode Island. But so you can't.
You
go
did
wrong.
Rhode Island a little wrong because my guy Jim Barron used to always tell me when he was the head coach at Rhode Island, Quinn, he thought he had Pat Bradley before Coach Richardson and staff discovered Pat Bradley. And he talks about how bad he wanted Pat Bradley to play on his team. And
Coach Jimmy Barron, he was at St. Bonaventure at that time.
Oh, is it St. Bonnie that he became the head coach at Rhode Island?
At Rhode Island. His son was a great player, set all kinds of records. But Coach Barron, I had to call him when I talked with Coach Richardson. I committed to go Razorbacks. I had to call Coach Jimmy Barron. I go, Coach, Arkansas Razorbacks, they just won national championship. This was, the fall of '94. He goes, Pat, I don't blame you. I would do the same thing. I'd go play for the Hogs. And
he's a great man.
I appreciated him. And boy, what a career. He's such a great coach. Good dude.
Great man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'll be honest with you, not all the coaches were like that, though.
Yeah, no.
Some of them were like, man, you're never going to play. You're never going to play. You're not going to get any minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
firing at you, Pat. They were mean to you.
Well, this was a family friend. I'd known him since I was 6th, 7th grade. No, probably 8th grade. And he was an assistant coach. So he felt like I was going to go there, right? His family. We're family. And I told him, and then he was like, Pat, man, come on, man. You're not going to play there. Come with us. And so my mother had heard the conversation. So later in the day, she calls back into the office and starts cussing him out in front of all the other assistant coaches. She says, don't you ever say he ain't going to play. He's going to play. So she gave I see some of the assistant coaches that were on that staff of another school. It wasn't, St. Bonnie's. It was a different school. And they still laugh about it because she had him on the loudspeaker just dogging him out. But I think they ended up leaving that staff after a couple of years anyway. Took a better job somewhere. But
thanks
so
for the
many funny recruiting
stories.
stories. I know you guys got millions of recruiting stories. You can fill a whole book.
You're always the best, Pat, man. You're great with us. We appreciate your time. You always have show and tell. You always got a football or a basketball.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Pat,
Like
what do you
I
need from us?
Like I tell everybody.
We need to send you something. You need anything from Arkansas? You need anything?
Size 12 shoe. I'll take large, whatever you got, and shorts. Oh, I did. Actually, you know what I did? Let me show you something. So all my buddies.
He's lying about that size large.
All my buddies got kids that are like 14, 15 years old, and they all want Razorback shorts.
Yeah.
So I went online.
Oh, Pat.
And I must have clicked the wrong button because I'm not even joking. I have 17 pairs of Razorback shorts.
God, you spent some money.
I didn't, Coach, I pressed the wrong button. And instead of
you thought you were getting one and you got 17.
I was going to get like 17 of them came. Look at all this. Look at this.
I want you to send them back.
Well,
now you're going to give them away.
I know enough people. I know enough people. I can get. This is Christmas gifts for 2 years.
Yeah,
Coach.
Yeah.
2
That's
years.
a big
I don't have
box
to do
of
any
stuff.
shopping. I got all kinds of boxes. SEC Network, 10 years.
Yeah.
I got a hat. They gave me a hat. Look at that. Huh?
Nice.
That's not bad.
Yeah, 10 years of devotion to him.
Yep.
Before you go, you got to see this young man that works for us. He's been a manager. I'm sorry. He's been working at the foundation. He's already graduated from university. He's in grad school, and he wore this on. Come on in. He wore this on St. Patty's Day. Okay, and
there you go.
hey, Let me see if you can hear what he says. This is Pat Bradley. This is
Oh,
Grant
that's
Smithson.
awesome.
I couldn't figure his shirt out.
Mr. Bradley, what's up?
What's up, my man? My boy's wicked smart. He's
My
wicked
boy's
smart.
wicked smart. My boy's wicked smart.
My boy's
I got a
wicked-
number. How about them apples?
How about them apples, Coach C? There you go.
It says
yeah.
Boston under. Look, it says Boston.
Yeah, that's Goodwill Hunting right there.
Yeah, it
Goodwill
is.
Hunting. My
I
boy's
was like,
wicked.
what does that mean? He told me the whole deal. And I've seen Goodwill Hunting a bunch. Great movie.
Top
Yeah,
5
great
movie of
movie.
all time.
Yeah,
100%.
it's St. Patty's Day. You gotta sit down and watch all those Boston movies.
Absolutely.
But
I
it's
gotta have my Boston today.
SMAHT. For our people watching on Hogs Plus, they can see it. For those listening, they can't see Grant, but it's Wicked, and then it's SMAHT.
Wicked smart.
Coach, when you go to the Red Sox games, you probably hear that all over the place on the fens, right?
Yeah. I've not heard of the Red Sox game, but I'm going to be listening for
You'll
it.
be listening. You'll be listening. That's
All right.
beautiful.
Good to see
I'll
you,
say
Mr.
this.
Bradley.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Patrick was a saint. I ain't. I'm going to
Good
get
to
me
see
some
you again.
corned beef and hash, boys. Corned
Yes,
beef
sir.
and hash
I
and
love
a
it.
Guinness.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Zay and Terrence, we get ready to wrap up this edition of the Razorback Daily. Love me some Pat Bradley. I mean, he has been fantastic on the SEC network. He has carried the Arkansas flag across the whole SEC footprint in the country and continues to do a great job, Z. But he loves those Hogs. I know in the broadcast world you're not supposed to say we, but when he talks on the Razorback Daily, he says we. And I love that. And he's just one of the best.
Yeah, and the coaches and around the league, they know that. They know, hey, he played at Arkansas. He's got a loyalty to Arkansas. And I love when you talk to people and that are doing well in life and have had success. And then when you get to know them and you visit with them, Pat, I've known for years. But when you see that person, you're like, oh, I can see why he's so successful. When you're with Pat, when you're around Pat, you see quickly, oh, I can see why he's on the SEC network, just how he carries himself. He's obviously very smart. He's very funny. Got a great personality. And loving the Razorbacks, that's just a bonus for all of us. But
Yeah.
Pat's awesome.
Yeah, I love how he does it his way. I mean, he's going to be Pat. He's Pat regardless, and it's taking him to where he's at today, and he'll continue to move forward in his broadcasting career. Well, all right, Zay and Tara, that's how we'll wrap up this edition of the Razorback Daily, a sport and story production. I'm Quinn Grovey alongside my man, Matt Zimmerman, and we'll talk tomorrow.